WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
Yeah. How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For the health and safety of our guests and team members, we're here for you. That means frequently deep cleaning our stores and wiping down carts and baskets after each use, reserving dedicated shopping hours for our most vulnerable guests, providing masks and gloves to our team members, and offering contactless shopping options through the Target app, like Drive Up and same-day delivery. We are here for you now more than ever, and your health and safety is our highest priority. Learn more at target.com/a bullseye-view.
New Dunkin' Refreshers. Vibrant fruit flavors like strawberry, dragon fruit, and peach passion fruit. B vitamins and energy from green tea. All under 200 calories. Order ahead via the Dunkin' app for a contactless way to order, pay, and pick up in the drive-thru. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Amazon is hiring near you. Earn a competitive wage and start as soon as 7 days. No resume or experience required. Health and safety are a top priority with all of Amazon's roles and sites. Amazon is taking precautions in their buildings to keep people healthy. Go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey everybody, it's your girl, Shelly Show Williams, Philly's Oprah, host and executive producer of Single on a Saturday Night. And guess what? I've teamed up with DJ Kid Disco. He is the king of the podcast, and we have Zoom Your Podcast Masterclass. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast, learn how to be a Zoom professional, throw a virtual party? Now is the perfect time to learn all about it in Zoom Your Podcast. Go to ShellyShowWilliams.com or go to Instagram at Shelly Show Williams or at DJ Kid Disco. DM us. Find out more information. This class is a must-take class. Hey everybody, it's Shelly Show Williams, Philly's Oprah, executive producer of Urban Expressions, Single on a Saturday Night, but I am a business, social media, and media coach. And if you're looking to show up on social media with a purpose, I have a course for you. Have you been struggling as an entrepreneur, trying to figure out how to get people to engage, how to get people to buy, how to get people just to see you on social media? I have just the course for you. Please go to ShellyShowWilliams.com to find out more.
WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
Yeah. How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
Yo, what's good? This is Tracy Lee, and you already know I gets down with the get down, man. Grown Folks Radio all day.
Hi, everybody. This is Cinda Williams, and I am the co-host of the Melanated Morning Show and the host of the PPC Radio Show. And you are listening to Grown Folks Radio. The
Melanated Morning Show. With DJ Kid Disco and co-host Cinda Williams.
We've been through a lot this past year, and with more and more people getting vaccinated each day, we are starting to turn a corner. And as more Americans are vaccinated, a growing body of evidence now tells us that there are some activities that fully vaccinated people can resume at low risk to themselves. This is why today, CDC is releasing its initial guidance for the public that, for the first time, lays out some of the activities considered safe for those who are fully vaccinated. When I say fully vaccinated, I mean people who are 2 weeks after their second dose of either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines, or 2 weeks after a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Before I talk about the specific recommendations, I want to underscore a few important points. First, Robust clinical trial data demonstrate that the current COVID-19 vaccines are highly effective at protecting vaccinated people against severe illness, hospitalization, or death from COVID-19. However, there is still a small risk that vaccinated people could become infected with milder or asymptomatic disease and potentially even transmit the virus to others who are not vaccinated. Understanding the size of this risk in vaccinated people and the risk of transmitting the virus to others who are not vaccinated is an ongoing area of research. Second, it's important to note that this is initial guidance. The science of COVID-19 is complex, and our understanding of the virus continues to rapidly evolve. The recommendations issued today are just a first step. As more people get vaccinated and the science and evidence expands, and as the disease dynamics of this country change, we will continue to update this guidance. Importantly, our guidance must balance the risk to people who have been fully vaccinated, the risks to those who have not yet received the vaccine, and the impact on the larger community transmission of COVID-19 with what we all recognize to be the overall benefits of resuming everyday activities and getting back to some of the things we love in life. It's against this backdrop and the current state of the pandemic that we've developed these new recommendations. With today's initial guidance, it's important to note that we are focusing on activities of fully vaccinated people can resume in private settings, such as their homes, under two scenarios. The first scenario is fully vaccinated people visiting with other fully vaccinated people. In this slide, these individuals are represented by solid green circles. In this scenario, CDC recommends that fully vaccinated people can visit with other fully vaccinated people in small gatherings indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing. Remember, here we are talking about private settings where everyone is vaccinated. So what does this mean? If you and a friend or you and a family member are both vaccinated, you can have dinner together, wearing masks without distancing. You can visit your grandparents if you have been vaccinated and they have been too. Now, I want to talk to you about another more complicated scenario. It involves vaccinated people visiting with unvaccinated people. When fully vaccinated people visit with unvaccinated people, we have to consider the underlying risks of the unvaccinated people and any unvaccinated members of their household. We take this approach because all of our guidance is rooted in making sure we are keeping people safe. So, CDC recommends that fully vaccinated people can visit with unvaccinated people from one other household, indoors, without wearing masks or physical distancing, as long as the unvaccinated people and any unvaccinated members of their household are not at high risk for severe COVID-19 disease. In the slide, people who are vaccinated and at low risk for severe COVID-19 are indicated by solid orange circles. This means that none of the unvaccinated people or any unvaccinated members of their households, for example, are an adult over age 65 or have an underlying condition such as cancer, heart disease, or diabetes that could increase their risk of COVID-19 related hospitalization or death. Here's an example. If grandparents have been vaccinated, they can visit their daughter and her family even if they have not been vaccinated, so long as the daughter and her family are not at risk for severe disease. They are solid orange circles. Second, if an unvaccinated individual or any unvaccinated member of their household are at high risk for severe disease, shown here by hollow orange circles, everyone, regardless of vaccination status, should still wear a mask and physically distance and choose to meet outdoors or in a well-ventilated space. This is recommended to keep the individuals at high risk who are unvaccinated safe. Similarly, when fully vaccinated people are visiting with unvaccinated people from multiple households Everyone should wear masks and physically distance and meet outdoors in a well-ventilated space. Moving on to quarantine away from visiting. In addition to these new recommendations on visitation in private settings, CDC's new guidance also recommends that fully vaccinated people do not need quarantine or get tested following a known exposure to someone with COVID-19 as long as they are asymptomatic. At this time, the CDC is not adjusting current guidance on travel. We believe these new recommendations are an important first step in our efforts to resume everyday activities in our communities. However, we remain in the midst of a serious pandemic, and still over 90% of our population is not fully vaccinated, though we are working hard to get there. Therefore, everyone, whether vaccinated or not, should continue to avoid medium and large-size gatherings, as well as non-essential travel, and when in public spaces, should continue to wear a well-fitted mask, physically distance, and follow other public health measures to protect themselves as others. COVID-19 continues to exact a tremendous toll on our nation. Like you, I want to be able to return to everyday activities and engage with our friends, families, and communities. Science and the protection of public health must guide us as we begin to resume these activities. Today's action represents an important first step. It is not our final destination. As more people get vaccinated, levels of COVID-19 infection decline in communities, and as our understanding of COVID immunity improves, we look forward to updating these recommendations to the public. I know this is complex, and I've covered a lot of ground this morning. So I want to recap the main points of our initial guidance released today. In summary, fully vaccinated people can visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without wearing a mask or physical distancing. Visit with unvaccinated people from a single household who are at low risk of severe COVID-19 disease indoors without wearing masks or physical distancing. And refrain from quarantine and testing following a known COVID-19 exposure if the vaccinated person remains asymptomatic. For now, we will continue to examine this in the upcoming weeks and update our guidance accordingly. Fully vaccinated people should continue to take precautions in public, like wearing masks and physical distancing, wear well-fitted masks and physically distance and adhere to other prevention measures when visiting with unvaccinated people who are at increased risk of severe COVID or who have an unvaccinated family member, household member who is at increased risk of COVID. Wear masks, physically distance, and practice other prevention measures when visiting with unvaccinated people from multiple households. Avoid medium and large-sized crowds. Get tested if experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Follow guidance issued by individual employers, and follow CDC and Health Department travel recommendations. As I close, I want to stress that we continue to have high levels of virus around the country, and more readily transmissible variants have now been confirmed in nearly every state. While we work to quickly vaccinate people more and more each day, we have to see this through. Let's stick together. Please keep wearing a well-fitting mask and taking the other public health actions we know work to help stop the spread of this virus.
And there you have it. Good morning. Good morning. This is the Melanated Morning Show. Finally, we were having some issues, some technical issues, but here we are. So because of that, commercials are going to be to a very low minimum. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into the news. As you see, the CDC has changed their guidelines. All I can say is, though these guidelines are in place, I just implore everyone to be safe. Because that you have if you were fortunate enough to get vaccinated, just don't think that it turns into a Superman or a Superwoman. Just still be safe. I'm a little bit concerned about the part where they're saying, because there are a lot of people who are going to misinterpret them, like, oh, well, they said, everybody else is cool, and since certain things may turn into a super spreader event, and that's one of my fears. That is truly one of my fears. So let's get into the rest of these topics because we're going to cover all these topics today that I have listed because I find each of them important for different reasons. So let's get right into the hypocrisy of the GOP. Because the GOP party, for those of y'all that don't know, I'm talking about Argentina, the Republican Party is pretty much the party of a huge hypocrisy. And I'm going to show you exactly how. I'm going to show you exactly how the Republican Party is pretty much a hypocrisy of a party. It's real simple. It goes like this. Last night, Senator Tom Scott, said that one of his issues with the new relief package is that prisoners, people who are incarcerated, were getting checks. And that's true. The first two bills, a lot of inmates did receive stimulus checks. Okay. So there are a lot of people who say, well, what the hell do you need stimulus check for when you're in jail? Well, it's plain and simple. Real simple answer to that. You still got to live. You still got to buy toiletries. That shit doesn't come free. You still got to buy it. I mean, you'd like to live somewhat of a human being, get some snacks, shit like that. So it's still needed. Very much still needed. But here's the hypocrisy of what was said by Senator Tom Scott. Senator Tom Scott said that he was bringing up that point about the inmates getting basically receiving checks. But you have to remember something. Senator Tom Scott was one of the Republicans who voted for the first two bills that Trump signed off on. So it wasn't an issue then, Senator Scott. Why is it such an issue now? That is my question. If it's an issue now, why wasn't it an issue then? Interesting. Interesting thought. Interesting question. If it wasn't an issue then, when you voted for those first two bills that Trump, why is it not an issue now? Here's a more important question, Mitch McConnell. Are you really going to go to your constituents in Kentucky and tell them that you did not want to vote? Now, remember something. The state of Kentucky is a very, very, very poor state. Very poor state. So you would think that someone like Mitch McConnell would be more empathetic to his own constituents, but he's not. He's more willing to follow in behind his cult leader, and not one Republican voted for that bill. Not one. I think that's shameful that not one person in the Republican Party has voted to help their own constituents. They're so party driven and so much about I, and not the American people, which is what they're supposed to be about. They're supposed to be about the American people, but they're not about the American people, ladies and gentlemen. And this goes all the way back to when they were Democrats. Well, I've already told that story prior shows, how the Republicans used to be Democrats, and basically nothing has changed. They were hypocrites then, and they're hypocrites now. Now, there's an important bill that's going to be voted on. Has to deal with voter suppression. So you're going to tell all your constituents, Mitch McConnell, that you're okay with the voter suppression laws that the Republicans are trying to pass. In other words, they're trying to pass laws like they want to, instead of expanding mail-in vote, they want to decrease it. They pretty much want to make sure that some kind of way that they can take back the House and take back the Senate. I don't see it happening. I made a prediction a couple of years ago that everything would happen with Trump that has happened so far, and it has gone that way. Well, I'm going to make another prediction. If President Biden keeps on the path that he's on, and it's a pretty good path, guess what's going to happen? I believe that the Democratic Party is going to stay in power for at least the next 8 years. Truly believe that. There are those that say that Biden may not be well enough in a couple of years. Maybe he won't, but it's still, that means we will have the first black female president ever. And I think she will pick up where President Biden left off, because he jumped right in. And this bill that he's passed is a major, major, major accomplishment for him to be able to come right in. Same way Lincoln did when he had to come in and abolish slavery. Same thing. Told y'all about the similarities. So, similarities are the same. They really are. And as far as this bill goes, this bill is good for everybody. And 68% of the American people actually are in favor of this bill. You know, remember those people, Mitch McConnell, the voters, the people that put you in power? Those people. Yeah. I'm sure you forget, but yeah, those people. Those are the people that voted for you, and if you really don't pay them any attention, well, it's just a bad thing. The American people voted for you, Mitch. The American people voted for you, so the least you can do is act like you give a damn. I'm looking in the chat room right now. Just bear with me for a minute. The Melanated Morning Show is always very non-apologetic for the things that we say. So, I'm looking in the chat room for a minute, real quick, and I'm reading someone's comment that makes a lot of sense from what I'm saying, from what I'm seeing. The power of the people. Yes, I agree with you. Good morning to you, Gino, by the way. Horses was changed in the middle of the... Yeah, pretty much. Horses were changed in the middle of the stream, and that's exactly what happened. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So again, as I was saying, the hypocrisy is just is so enormous. The hypocrisy of the Republican Party, and the Republican Party has become just that. They're the opposition party. You know, they were saying that there was nothing in the bill that helps the American people. Not so sure about that. Not so sure about that. I think you're way off mark. They know that they're off mark. They just really do not care. And that is the scary part of this whole hypocrisy. So that's where we're at with that. Real quick, I want to give you guys an update on the Derek Chauvin, however you pronounce his last name, the murderer of George Floyd. The trial, the jury selection is going on right now. Yesterday they delayed it, and they sent all the jurors home. What they were trying to do, what the prosecutors were trying to do was allow the third degree murder charge to be implemented. Now, how does that help the prosecution? That gives the prosecution a little bit more room, because when you're talking about second degree and first degree murder, you have to specifically prove that defendant actually intended to premeditate the murder. Well, with third degree murder, you have a lot more leeway. You don't have to prove as much. All you got to prove is that somebody died as the result of somebody else, at the hands of somebody else. And that's how that plan pans out. So pretty much the judge said he couldn't even rule on it. They sent the jurors home yesterday. It was a delay. You know, that's what defenses do. And it's to be expected. So they're doing more of it today. We'll have a better update for you tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Seabreeze, Cinda, and myself, Cinda Williams. Bo Better Blues, Clark. Shout out to Cinda. So we're not going to do any. We're only going to do one commercial break this morning because we got started late. So, and when we come back, we're going to get right into a past show that was played, and it's going to talk about the HBCUs. Now, understand something. Let me make this disclaimer before I play this. HBCUs, I am not against HBCUs. I'm all for them. I just need, and as y'all know, the Melanated Morning Show is very unapologetic, and we tell the truth. We tell the facts. Okay? And I'm not knocking HBCUs. I'm not putting them down or anything of the sort. I'm just giving you guys some facts of how they truly were created. Okay? So we're going to take a little commercial break real quick, and this will be the only one. And we're going to come back and we're going to play that past episode from a year and a half ago. But I found it pertinent to replay it now because of what's going on now with the HBCUs. I'm DJ Kid Disco. This is the Melody in the Morning Show. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
Yeah. How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For the health and safety of our guests and team members, we're here for you. That means frequently deep cleaning our stores and wiping down carts and baskets after each use, reserving dedicated shopping hours for our most vulnerable guests, providing masks and gloves to our team members, and offering contactless shopping options through the Target app, like Drive Up and same-day delivery. We are here for you now more than ever, and your health and safety is our highest priority. Learn more at target.com/a-bullseye-view.
New Dunkin' Refreshers. Vibrant fruit flavors like strawberry, dragon fruit, and peach passion fruit. B vitamins and energy from green tea. All under 200 calories. Order ahead via the Dunkin' app for a contactless way to order, pay, and pick up in the drive-thru. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Amazon is hiring near you. Earn a competitive wage and start as soon as 7 days. No resume or experience required. Health and safety are a top priority with all of Amazon's roles and sites. Amazon is taking precautions in their buildings to keep people healthy. Go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey everybody, it's your girl, Shelly Shaw Williams, Philly's Oprah, host and executive producer of Single on a Saturday Night. And guess what? I've teamed up with DJ Kid Disco. He is the king of the podcast, and we have Zoom Your Podcast Masterclass. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast, learn how to be a Zoom professional, throw a virtual party? Now is the perfect time to learn all about it in Zoom Your Podcast. Go to ShellyShellWilliams.com or go to Instagram at ShellyShellWilliams or at DJ Kid Disco. DM us. Find out more information. This class is a must-take class. Hey everybody, it's Shelly Shell Williams, Philly's Oprah, executive producer of Urban Expressions, single on a Saturday night, but I am a business, social media, and media coach. And if you're looking to show up on social media with a purpose, I have a course for you. Have you been struggling as an entrepreneur trying to figure out how to get people to engage, how to get people to buy, how to get people just to see you on social media? I have just the course for you. Please go to ShellyShellWilliams.com to find out more.
WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
Yeah. How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
Yo, what's good? This is Tracy Lee. You already know I gets down with the get down, man. Grown Folks Radio all day.
Hi, everybody. This is Cinda Williams, and I am the co-host of the Melanated Morning Show and the host of the PPC Radio Show. And you are listening to Grown Folks Radio.
The Melanated Morning Show with DJ Kid Disco.
Burn up the airwaves.
Co-host Cinda Williams.
Initially, the public school system.
I got my three counterparts here. Family, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. This is Miss Bella. Hey, it's me only.
And you know who it is. It's the Biscuit. Morning, good morning, good morning.
And good morning. This is DJ Kid Disco here on the Melanated Morning Show. And we got some good stuff to talk about. Well, my man Biscuit. Go ahead, Biscuit.
Well, you know, this topic is about public education and how it was originally created and the reason why and how it affects people of color and the poor, but mainly people of color and HBCUs. And you guys have to understand the backdrop. Initially, the public school system was called, or, you know, public education school system was called the General Education Board, which was created and funded by John D. Rockefeller back in 1902. And the premise, right, and actually, this actually started for a conversation between myself and Miss Bella. And she exposed me to some, you know, some crazy stuff about the whole concept of public school system. And the primary reason why it was created, it was used to support higher education and medical schools in the United States and to help rural white and black schools in the South, as well as modernize farming practices in the South. Okay? And, you know, when I was speaking to DJ Kid about it, he didn't know this. He was really, you know, he was really enamored by the start of the HBCUs.
And this, I said, Biscuit, I said, we have got to talk about this on the air.
Right. And, you know, it's not to put any shade towards HBCUs, but what people of color need to understand, especially black folks, if they don't know the history of it, the reason why these HBCUs was created because white people had funded them. Not all of them, but the majority of them, okay? Or at least they didn't create all of them. their intention was to keep us in trade-like positions, right? They wanted us to be proficient in farming because they knew that we built contraptions. We already was doing stuff. Said, you know what? Why don't we pay into anything, any development that they do into farming, and we'll capitalize off of it. If you notice now today, anytime a student creates something in a school, the school now owns the intellectual property of that invention or contraption, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even your job, even my job, the job that I work for, they had it in their contract saying that if you built something in the job, it belonged to them.
Belongs to them. And if you think about it, Biscuit, if you remember I said this off the air, it sounds to me like, first of all, they created modern sharecropping.
Right. It's what it is. That's what it was. Right.
It was the modern version of sharecropping. But another.
But that's exactly what it is, DJ Kid, because when you think about it and you really think about the creation of it, you're talking about a period of time where America was very industrialist, right? And a lot of things, they needed workers for that, right? And so you're really talking about this is 1902.
Right, the end of
This is literally 35 years after slavery.
The Industrial Revolution.
So, right, like I'm saying, when you do you realize that the 13th Amendment was only 1865?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about from 1865 to 1902. That's 37 years.
That's not even a lifetime.
So they needed workers. And how do you create workers? They needed to put a system in place that would create workers and make it sound like it was a good thing, right? And so, like, if you really think about this, the Rockefeller started, the General Board in 1902. Congress funded it and basically adopted and made it into law in 1903.
Yeah.
And so here you now have what you call a public system. And in some places, schools, think about this. In some places, especially in farming communities, the school was centered around the farming schedule. Like if crops was about to come in, they didn't go to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And so they had to
Yeah.
pitch in and do that crop. If you're in the city, right?
That's where I was going to go. I was going to go there, Bella. You and I and Biscuit are from the north.
And so if you're in a city like we grew up in, you need a trade.
Every public school system had a shop class.
That's right.
That was mandatory.
That's right.
Home economics only taught you just enough to be able to maintain.
Exactly.
Get yourself a little apartment. They taught you how to open up a bank account, but they never taught you how to make it grow. To make sure that you'll keep on coming to that blue collar job, which is why you have people like my mother and my great grandma and all of them, people like myself, we're blue collar for life. Because in the North, that's what you did. You went and got you either a good government job or you got you a good factory job. And you got up every day at the crack of dawn and you went to work.
Right. So in saying that, when he created the general school board or the public school system, there's a motto out there. I'm not saying it verbatim because I don't have the information in front of me. I got to find it. He basically said that he wanted to create the public school system to educate these people enough, meaning the blue collars, the poor, okay, enough to have a trade, to be self-sufficient, to provide into the society, to help build in the society. But at the same token, it was to also give the sons and daughters of the elites the ability to be managers, CEOs, right?
Oversee.
And to keep this running. So there was not only was there a racial divide, but there was also an economic divide in it.
Which is why our elders always refer to the job as the plantation.
Well, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's you know, going to the plant. You know, so you know when you look at it, it really goes deep on the minds.
Ooh, you just hit something, Biscuit. Not to cut you off. You just hit something. Plant. That's what they mean. The factories.
Correct. As a matter of fact, you know who was on that? You know who?
By design.
No, it is by design. But you know who actually gave? It was actually for the concept. It was actually, was it Washington Carver? Who was the one that was talking to Flowers? I think it was, or Booker T.
George Washington. No. George Washington Carver.
Okay, George Washington Carver was talking to plants. He was actually best friends with Ford. And Ford, it doesn't actually come from plantation. It actually comes from the concept that George Washington Carver was talking to plants, and the plants actually supposedly spoke back to him and gave him thoughts and ideas. And Carver told Ford, you need to create the assembly line, aka the plant. But at the same time, if you take the meaning of the word, yes, plantation, you know, so but basically it's just to go to show you their mindset. The public school system, if you look, like when I look at it now, I excelled in it, but it only gave me enough to survive as a responsible citizen, just to go to work, come home, and do it again until I die. They didn't teach me about investing. They didn't teach me about this. They didn't teach me about that.
College was about the special kids. The most thing they did in school, they either pushed one or two things: either get a trade or go in the military. When I went to the Marine Corps, the way that I went is that I actually took what was called the ASVAB test, which was the entrance exam at the time. And what they did was, it was smart. What the military did was they would give a general ASVAB test in school, in high school, and they would tell us, well, this is to practice for your score, for your SAT scores, and it'll let you know how you'll do. And that's not what they did. Yeah, that's what they did. And most of the girls were like, I just did it just to, practice for SATs. All the guys. And at this time, I was what was called a poolee. So I would go up to the recruiter's office every day after school and help out. And I actually watched them. I've done it sometimes myself. They would actually call people on that list who took that test that day, school-wide. And we're talking about city schools. Martin Luther King had at least 1,000 students in it. So at least 500 of them, at least 300 of them were seniors. So you're calling down that list like a sales list of kids that scored high enough to get into the entrance exam. So this is what they're doing. And if they decide, I don't want to go in the military or I don't want to go to college, guess who gets the list after that? The trade schools. And then they start making the sales calls to try to get them to, learn a trade, carpentry, electric. Happens all the time.
Yeah, so it's all by design. So you see, even from, in high school, because now you got these young people who are ready to go to work. Mm-hmm. So now they need to put you in certain areas. And the test also was to determine your level of IQ, because the higher you scored determined what kind of job, the better the job.
Yeah, the better MOS you had, military occupational specialist. Right.
Okay. So there's a reason Pardon me. So there's a reason for all that stuff.
You can be dumb as a doornail, but if you can learn how to fix refrigerators and shit, you get a pretty good job. Ask me how I know, because I had a teammate that was dumb as a bag of rocks. That motherfucker had an eye screw for square, but he could fix a fucking air conditioner.
Yeah, see that's how they determine that. But what does that mean? That doesn't really mean anything. This is the tests are biased, and they want to say
it's
that.
But they're, when it comes to that, it goes back to what we were just saying with the plantation. They're seeing just how nimble, what your aptitude is. They don't really give a fuck about how smart you are. Because if you're too brainy, they're going to put you in what's called admin anyway. They're going to sit you behind a desk. But if they can see that you got the aptitude to be taught like a trained monkey, how do I know? Meet Mighty Joe Young. That's exactly what they did to Big. They found out that I could fix shit, that I had the aptitude to fix shit. Oh yeah, put him in the motor. Put him in the air.
Look, I understand that they do that for their purposes, but it doesn't get.
But it's still treating us like slaves. If you think.
Well, their intention was to treat you like a slave anyway. Your job. You're not supposed to rub elbows with them on an elite status. I'm sorry.
It's just nihilistic,
right? The only time they'll use you is for your IQ. If your IQ is off the chart, like look at today. Listen, people don't understand that immigration is the same thing. It's the same tool. Immigration is used to replenish the workforce in the United States, and also to pluck away the brightest and the smartest from other people's countries.
They always do that.
That's the intention of immigration. Right.
That's what they do. See, at the end of the day, even in slavery, when you think about what happened in slavery, they just wasn't running up in Africa picking out any African.
Sure wasn't.
They took the brightest, strongest, fastest African.
They took the poorly women that could bear children to keep them plentiful and populated for the workforce that they anticipated enslaving in the new land.
And they didn't just take, because if at the end of the day, if it was just about, okay, we need people to work, then you would take any old person, right?
Right.
Well, they tried that.
But that's no, they never tried that.
They never attempted it because they had a blueprint.
They never had any
for what they wanted.
Right.
You know, what I'm saying is
they never had any intention.
They tried that with indentured service. They even tried that with the Native Americans. It didn't work. The Native Americans knew the land. They was running away and killing them. Indentured servants just didn't work out. They just.
No,
but see, that's how they. But
because I'm on the air, I'm not going to say why.
Like when you really study what happened with indentions, okay. When you really study what happened with indentured servants, that was systematically done as well.
Yes, indeed.
It wasn't a experiment, because they already knew what they would do with indentured servants, because they had indentured servitude for centuries,
right,
in Europe. They already knew what that was. And so I think what we always have to understand is like nothing that happened in the Americas happened by chance. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. So they know us better than we know us. So at the end of the day, they figured, look, we're going to get these people right here. Because if we get these people right here, they will build this land for us. We don't have to build it ourselves, because everywhere they go, they build.
See, I'm not so sure if they knew us better than we knew them. I think it was, this is just my opinion, I think that they knew them. And then once they tried it with us, they was like, oh. So what they did is they brought us over here, and then they made sure that they indoctrinated us with first of all, with the bucking stations.
But see, that's what I mean by when I say they know, meaning now and today, they know us better than we know ourselves. Back then, we knew who we were. Right? We knew who we were.
Unfortunately, there were Ben Carson type Africans out there willing to sell us and send us to a place they had only heard about. That's the problem. There's always been a
But
hunt
I
for
think
something
too,
more than what they had.
right? I think too, we always have to put that in perspective too, because when you function in a certain way, because you always have prisoners of war, right?
I was
Right.
getting ready to say that. That's who
We
they
were
were selling.
prisoners of war.
They were selling
And
prisoners of war.
they were selling prisoners of war.
Right.
And so that's why, now when all the history and stuff started coming out, you have this, oh shoot, there was a fund. Liberia had a fund. Ghana had a fund. All these nations had a fund. Some of these nations was not called by those names then, but you had a lot of these nations had a fund. Like, oh shoot, we didn't know that's what was happening, and they wanted us back, but they don't teach us that.
Well, Bella, why don't you be a doll and teach us right now what we were talking about off the air about Mr. Garvey?
Oh, my man, Marcus Garvey. I love Marcus Garvey. So the thing about what Marcus Garvey had this whole Back to Africa movement, and how he wanted to really take us back to the homeland, take us back to Africa, which is, to be quite honest, the main reason why he got deported. See, before he was talking about taking the black people back to Africa and all this, it was a lot of African nations that was on board with that and was funding Garvey too. So when you start reading up on Garvey, you'll start seeing like, oh shoot, you'll find out so much stuff. Like I'm finding out so much stuff on Marcus Garvey to the point where I'm with Marcus Garvey, on a lot of the things that he was saying. And so going back to this whole, how that ties into the school system is that even when you look at the foundation of the public school system and you take it all the way up to now, right? Think about our parents and our grandparents. They would get a job at a factory or a plant, whatever it is, and they would work 20, 30, 40 years, get their pension and their gold watch, right? And they're out. And that was considered a good job. You had a good job and a good thing. That's what school teaches you. You go through school 12, 14 years, and at the end, that is supposed to prepare you for a good job. Not to have a business of your own,
But now,
but
what's a high
for
school
a
diploma?
good job.
A high school diploma is like a GED now. Hell, an associate's degree is like a high school diploma.
I mean, you got people with master's degrees working at McDonald's.
Look, a high school diploma has always been a certificate to say to the world that I completed 12 years of education, that I am competent enough to work in society, right? But now, as time has gone along, right, with the different type of jobs, it has now forced people to go to college. And here's the trickery in it. The trickery was a lot of people
And good morning, this is DJ Kid Disco here on the Melanated Morning Show. And we got up. Melanated Morning Show. I'm back live. So looking at the clock on the wall, we got about a good 15 minutes left. So I want to sum up everything, pretty much what was talked about on that particular episode. And like I said, the episode was like, about a year and a half ago. And that pretty much sums up the whole makeup of the
HBCUs and how they were originated. Yeah, they were originated by Rockefeller. A lot of people don't know that. Now, again, I'm not knocking the HBCUs. I'm not knocking them. I'm just giving you a little bit of fact of how they came to be. So please don't send no emails or letters or anything. You know, I'm sure that you will. Some people will. They're listening. Hey, that's not my intent. That wasn't our intent. We just decided to put these facts out, and that's what the Melanated Morning Show is all about. Facts, knowledge. You learn something. Okay. And we didn't put that out to take away the integrity or anything of the sort, because understand something. From our vice president all the way down, there are many, 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 many of melanated people, and some non-melanated folks, but you know, who have prospered from HBCUs. So I'm not putting them down at all, and please understand that. Some of the greatest athletes, some of the greatest minds ever attended the HBCU. Like I said, let's start with our vice president. So I'm not knocking historically black colleges and universities at all. We were just giving you guys some facts. And it kind of goes into the whole mindset of that period when they were created. And that was the mindset. The Industrial Revolution, as we were talking about, had just kicked off, and they needed somebody to man these industrial factories. And these factories were the Industrial Revolution from 1900. I'm gonna say from 1900 to, let's say, to the stock crash of 29. Man, there were so many goods being, you know, these factories were booming goods. If you look at history, that's one of the reasons why America got into World War One, was because they were such a big goods trader, and not just with they were trading with countries at war. They were sending, you know, so what the Germans with their U-boats decided to do was attack American cruise liners and American cargo ships. And finally, America had enough of that shit and said, okay, that's it. And they got into the World War One, and there you go. Again, goes back to what I've always been saying about war is always about business. You know. So anyway, that was our take on the American resolutions. So we're ready to come to the end of the Melanated Morning Show. Tomorrow is Senda. She'll be back tomorrow and Thursday. And one of the things I know for a fact we're going to discuss is the Meghan Markle, Prince Harry interview. And that interview was just so toxic. Not the interview itself. The interview itself was a great interview. Shout out to Oprah. She did a very good job. But what was said sounded to me that behind the scenes, she was in a very toxic situation, in a slightly racist situation. And, you know, as I was watching Fox News, because you guys know I watch all the news outlets, we're talking about Meghan Markle. You guys know I watch all the Fox, you know, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, my favorite, you know, Black News Channel, of course, my very favorite. And I was watching of what they were saying, what Fox was saying about Meghan Markle. Oh, she shouldn't be upset because, you know, look how much it costs to live in the palace and she's rich in it. They act like money erases systemic racism. How can you say that with a conscience? See, again, the Republican, because we all know that Fox News was state TV at one time. That was Trump's personal, and it still is. Okay. But to actually make a statement, whoever it was they made, now they already said it wasn't the Queen, it wasn't Prince Philip. Who knows? But to make that statement, to even ask that question, how dark will the baby be? That shows you where they come from. And again, and we're going to get into this into detail because I'm hoping that we can have Damian Swaby. Y'all remember Damian? Damian came to the show back in the summertime last summer. And he's from the UK. He lived in the United States, I think, for 5 years. He's a filmmaker. But he's from the UK. And he's the one that pretty much educated us, which is what I was watching this young lady who was on CNN last night. She said exactly the same thing that Damien said to us last summer here on this show. And he pretty much said that, I'm hoping we can get Damien back, but Damien pretty much said that racism is not a big deal because it's always been like that. You've never had a person of color in power. It's always been a monarchy, not a democracy, what we're used to. We're used to, yeah, it was mad at her because she's from Compton. Yeah, straight out of Compton. Let's get a clue. Exactly. I agree with you, Gina. I'm reading the chat room, folks, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. And here's the thing. Like I said, Damien was saying it's with you have a monarchy, they actually believe that what they say goes and they make all the best decisions and yada, yada, yada. So it's never been a race thing. It's always been a class thing with England. So here's the bad part about that. We as melanated people, we're used to it. So if you notice, all of the white folks that heard this interview were just like, "Oh my God." When the everyone else heard, white folks, they were all like, we were like shaking our heads because it was normal to us. We hear this shit all the time. We're used to it. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but but unfortunately, we're numb to it as a people because we're used to it. Damn near all our lives, we've been getting kicked on our ass just that very way. So we're used to it. Unfortunately, it's a bad thing. It's a bad reality, but it is a reality. It really is. So we'll get ready to close up. Like I said, Seabreeze will be here tomorrow. I'm sure she's got an interesting take on it tomorrow. So we're going to discuss that. Of course, we'll get more into the Derek Chauvin trial. The murderer, and I said it, he murdered that man. The murderer of George Floyd. We'll get more into that. Tomorrow, I thought it was going to be today. They first said today, but they changed it. So tomorrow, we hope that Congress will do the final vote on the stimulus package. They took out the so-called pork that the Democrats were bitching about, and we're going to talk more about that and some other things. Okay. So tune in tomorrow. Right now, coming up next, you got Cool DJ Frank with his Lunch Buddy mix. Yeah, we do play music on here. And I want to make a program note real quick. There was going to be a Tuesday night spotlight tonight with DJ Cool. DJ Cool just contacted us this morning. He cannot make it tonight. So DJ Cool will, but he has said that he definitely will be here March the 23rd, which is 2 Tuesdays from now. So March the 23rd at 7 p.m. He could not make it tonight, but he will be he will be here I'm sorry, March the 23rd. So there won't be a Tuesday night spotlight tonight. Next week, though, DJ Lisa Love and DJ Joe Storm and myself will be interviewing Drez from Black Sheep. You know, you can get with this or you can get with that. Yeah, Drez from Black Sheep will be in the house next week. Stay tuned for that. And then the week after that, we will have the DMC winning DJ Sparkles and DJ Cools will be DJ day. And like I said, he will be he's celebrating the 25th anniversary of Let Me Clear About. Can you believe it's been 25 years, y'all, since that song came out? I can't, you know, when Shelly told me that, I was like, 25 years, damn. And I had to go back and really think like, oh shit, she not lying. It really has been 25 years since that song has been out. So yeah. Shout out to DJ Cool, who again, like I said, will be here. He was supposed to be here tonight, and that's why I'm making the program note that he will not be here tonight. He couldn't make it. He had some other things going on. So he gracefully said he definitely will be here on the 23rd. So we'll see him on the 23rd. We got about 5 minutes left. Listen, I just want to get back into real quick. I want to go back to the CDC guidelines before I sign off. I understand that the director, the White House, the COVID task force director, okay, it's great what she said. That's great news that that's great news that thank you, Gino. That's great news that the restrictions are lightening, and it seems like that we really are getting ready to approach the finish line with this thing. But remember something, and please remember this: saying that we're going to get back to normal is just not normal anymore. There is no more normal. This is the new normal, people. It's a virus. It's never going to go away, because if it was going to go away, they wouldn't be giving us vaccines. We would just say, okay, just stay in the fucking house until it goes away, like Dum Dum was telling us to do. Idiot. Viruses stay around forever. How long has the flu been here? I'll wait. Have they found a cure for AIDS yet, or wait, it just subsided? I'll wait. Those are all viruses, aren't they? Yeah, that part. Yeah. So my point being is that you still have to be safe. You still have to be smart, and just make sure that you do due diligence. You know, still wear your mask. You know, I hear what she's saying, but I don't agree with the whole stay. You don't have to wear a mask. I just don't agree with that. That's just really not something I agree with at all. But you know, to each his own. All right, it is what it is. So on that note, I am DJ Kid Disco, and this has been the Melanated Morning Show, and we're about to sign off. And I thank you guys that tuned in. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing.